Welcome back to the Marine Corps Movie Minute, where we discuss the movie Heartbreak Ridge 1 minute at a time. Today we are discussing minute 32. I am Brian Lockhart, and with me, I'll say it
Is
again. I am Brian Lockhart.
Oh, is this where I was supposed to say something?
Yes, it's yours.
Sorry.
Changing it up on you.
It's not. Hi, and I'm Jack Perry, and obviously I've had a stroke.
And all right, as we mentioned, we're discussing minute 32. Minute 32 begins with some fancy footwork by Stitch Jones, and it ends with Gunny Highway getting a beer.
Yeah, so
Well, we just literally pick up from the last minute where Stitch is singing. He's dancing.
yeah,
He's got some fancy footwork too. He's spinning around. In fact, he's dancing so much. I think Gunny's slightly impressed.
yeah. As I was sitting there watching, I think he was impressed with some of it, and then some of it maybe not so much.
In the first 5 seconds, Stitch has really got some fancy footwork. He's spinning around, and Gunny kind of does that, like, huh, that kind of snicker, like, I'm
Yeah,
impressed, check that guy out. And then immediately after that, he's doing something like almost like a duck walk. He's getting
yeah,
real low and doing it. And Gunny even kind of sits up so he can look down and see what he's doing. Again, he seems impressed. It's about the time he pulls out the moonwalk that he
yeah.
kind of rolls his eyes at him.
He's like, I've had enough of you.
I just had a quick little thing about the moonwalk. I was wondering because obviously this was filmed in '86,
hmm
but it takes place in '83, and I couldn't remember when Michael Jackson made the moonwalk popular.
Oh yeah,
And if my computer bothers to get okay, so I looked up the moonwalk, and okay, so the moonwalk, the moonwalk did actually become popular. It was popularized by Michael Jackson May 16th, 1983, when he did
oh,
it performing Billie Jean on the Motown 25 Yesterday to Today and Forever.
oh wow,
So our movie takes place starting in July of '83. So Stitch Jones would have plenty of time to have seen that.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, gotten pretty proficient at doing it.
Yeah. Apparently Michael Jackson had done it a couple months prior, just on stage,
hmm
but he went ahead and it really got popularized then. However, this is something I learned because I didn't really realize this. He didn't invent the moonwalk. They've been doing that for years. Singers and mimes, you
Oh
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it was formerly known as the backslide. He just renamed it the moonwalk. Being a kid, being a young kid from the '80s, all I knew was the moonwalk.
Yeah,
And any instance that I've ever seen of it since then was, oh, they're doing the moonwalk.
yeah.
Apparently, Calloway was doing it in the '30s. A lot of a lot of jazz singers were doing it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, on stage. Judy Garland did something similar to that in a movie in the '40s. Dick Van Dyke did something like that in the '50s and '60s. H.R. Puffin stuff even did it. Marcel Marceau did it as well as part of the walking against the wind routine. It's basically that's all it really is.
Oh, okay.
Even James Brown was doing it. Now, it was somebody named I think it was somebody named Jeffrey Daniels or Jeffrey Daniel, and not the Dumb and Dumber guy, taught Michael Jackson how to moonwalk basically. Because people were doing it on Soul Train,
Oh, yeah.
and and I actually this is one thing in Flashdance on Fame, people were doing it in the '80s, even in like '82, like before Michael Jackson made it popular. But
Okay.
in the '70s, the Fabulous Freebirds were doing it, and I actually looked up a video of Michael P.S. Hayes doing doing his moonwalk. The only difference is most of the people that I saw doing the moonwalk, especially when I was watching Michael P.S. Hayes do it, the difference is Michael Jackson did it quite well.
Yeah,
I mean, Michael P.S. Hayes did it probably about as good as I do it.
yeah. Yeah.
So, he Jackson had a little more panache and style to it. Stitch Jones had a lot more.
Yeah.
He had a bit of he did it well. Let's just put it
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Um, so it makes sense that they would be in a movie like this.
Yeah, that's pretty good research.
Thanks. A performer at the time would totally do that.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with it being as popular, everybody's consciousness. They don't see a lot of breakdancing these days.
Yeah, because actually that was something that was funny you say that because it was like they were calling it the popping and locking guys. Like even before they
Yeah.
were calling it breakdancing, they were called it like popping and locking. They were dancers were doing this move long before Michael Jackson.
Right.
Actually, just while we had the minute on, so Stitch does the moonwalk, and you can see Aggie or the waitress walking in the background, and then all of a sudden it cuts, and she's at the bar, and she turns around and sees Tom Highway.
Yeah.
So, we meet Aggie. She walks up to Clint and says, what'll it be? She has no idea it's him.
Right.
And she looks up and he goes, he says Aggie. She goes, what do you want? He says, a beer. What are you doing here? Ordering.
Ordering. Yeah.
So she kind of looks a little, flabbergasted and walks around to get him a
Yeah.
beer.
Yeah.
I noticed too, I can't tell. He watches her go up to the bar and he kind of lingers and leers at her a little bit.
Mhm.
And I was like, "Is he checking her checking her ass out, or is he
Yes.
just looking at her lovingly?"
Both.
I
It
think
can
it
be
is a little bit
both.
of both. Yeah,
Yeah.
because when they first show it, it looks like he's looking at her ass, but then he kinda looks a little more longful and wistful or whatever, and then just kinda looks away,
Yeah.
as because he holds that his stare lingers for a quick minute.
Yeah. I mean, it can be both. He's, "Oh, that ass."
It could be, you know. He's reading those magazines, but he's not quite sensitive yet.
No, no. His sensitivities, he's still Padawan level sensitive.
Yeah. So, she brings him a beer and, he's like, "Oh, you even remember the brand."
Mhm.
But that makes me wonder, that line there, like, how long has it been since they last saw each other?
Huh, that's a good question. If she's back in town and he's back in town, it's been over at least a year, right?
Yeah. At
Um,
least.
so I don't know, man. I mean, it's not long enough that he's not taken aback by seeing her, so
Well, and it's funny, he was almost not going to see her. Well, at
yeah.
least that's what we're led to believe because he told her to
Yeah.
marry.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's the thing, like, she must have left town at some point. He
Yeah.
definitely left town and just got back. We don't know how
Right.
long she's been back, but it doesn't seem like very long.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my speculation.
Yeah. That's yeah, man, I don't know. It's very interesting. I mean, it could be well, you're writing, I guess, writing part of the story in your head, trying to figure out like kind of what happened. But yeah, it's been at least a year, and how I mean, their breakup could have had some reason to do with the reason why he punched his commanding officer.
Who knows? I just thought it was a funny comment that he's like, "Oh, you even remember the brand." Well,
Yeah,
I mean, if it's only been a year, you would think, if he drank Miller Lite every day.
yeah, yeah. It's not hard to remember.
Right. So or if he drank some unique brand, she would like, of course. I mean, you live with the person, you probably got him plenty of beers. He probably bought plenty of beers. She probably bought it for him. You
Yeah,
would think like it's you would make it think it's been like 10 years since they saw each other, and then it's like, oh,
yeah,
you remember the brand.
yeah,
Now I feel like they've been divorced a long time,
yeah. That's possible
but
too.
the fact that they whatever, maybe it has been that long, but it does seem like it hasn't been too long since they would have seen each other. I don't know.
Well, I mean, plus too, you think about it this way. It's not like today where you've got all this craft beer and the exotic beers. It's like what was there only like three companies then
Yeah.
that actually made beer. Even if she guessed, her chances are still pretty good. You
Right.
know?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's hard. I wonder if they ever get into it in the movie about how long they've been divorced. Yeah, it was just something that crossed my mind.
Yeah.
I did notice before the minute ends though, they cut back to Stitch while these
Yeah,
guys are talking, and he's doing finger guns.
yeah, yeah,
And he's pointing at himself at the crowd, but they're all finger guns, pew
yeah,
pew.
yeah. It was one of the lines, one of the lyrics was something about "make my day." So
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh,
I was like, is that a nod to Clint?
yeah, it's got to be. I'm sure that was intentional. Now, there's one point. There was two Marines that we saw sitting there at last minute who didn't seem too impressed. And in the first 10 seconds, Stitch is kind of dancing in front of these two women who are sitting with guys, and the
Yep.
Marines are sitting at the other table. But he kind of leans over like to the woman and is like, "Can you believe this guy? Man, what the, like yeah." I wonder what he's saying though, because she
Yeah,
doesn't seem to be paying attention. She's into the music.
yeah, 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 it's the music, yeah.
Well, you know what? So I didn't talk about this, and I wanted to. Aggie is played by Marsha Mason.
Yes.
So I didn't know this, but she was married to Neil Simon.
Really?
Yeah, and she did she win 4 Academy Awards or was nominated for? She was nominated at least 4 times for the Academy Award for some of the movies she did with him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because she worked with like a couple of the movies she did were with James Caan, and they were
Okay.
Neil Simon, movies. In fact, one of them was semi-autobiographical about their
Huh.
life together.
Okay.
She had quite the career, especially when she was married to him. She started out on like she was on Dark Shadows. She did a lot of daytime soaps and
Okay.
stuff like that. And then she earned a couple Oscar nominations working with Neil Simon. And they said about the time they got a divorce, her kind of career dried up a little bit. She did Heartbreak Ridge and a few other things, but then it wasn't until the 90s her career kind of bounced back a little bit.
Okay. Well,
But
that's
she's
good.
still working to this day. I mean, she's still got she does a lot of TV. I'm trying to get back to IMDb so I can go through some things. But
Yeah, every once in a while you'll see her pop up on something. She'll like, "Oh yeah, I remember her from she's Aggie from Heartbreak Ridge," just kind of random things.
yeah, apparently she was on like that Netflix show Grace and Frankie.
No, I
It's
haven't seen
the
it.
Lily Tomlin, what's her name? It doesn't matter. She was on Frasier for a while.
Yeah.
Uh, but tons of TV.
Yep.
Yeah, Drop Dead Fred, she was in that. Yeah, so yeah, she had quite the career and is still working today. So real quick, you mentioned something before we started recording.
Oh yeah. So yeah, there's a sign right as the minute begins. It says San Juan Capistrano exit. So it's clearly in Southern California.
Yeah, and as we talked about, this place is actually called the Swallow Inn in San Juan Capistrano.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's just right there. It's kind of got some posters and stuff around it, but when the minute begins, it's posted up there pretty big.
Yeah,
Um,
you can see it's right over Stitch Jones' shoulder on the
right.
right top corner of the screen.
Yep.
Yeah, that's funny because yes, it is. That's exactly where this bar is. And as I think I may have mentioned it, I found a picture that I'm going to post in the quarter deck if I haven't already. By the time this airs, of Clint Eastwood going into the Palace Inn and then like modern day Swallow Inn, what the bar looks like today.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So again, this is another quick minute. Uh, it's a
Yeah.
lot of music, and I mean, I think we kind of. I don't know if we talked about this yet, but I thought we kind of mentioned that with the introduction of Aggie, it's kind of the other plot of the movie. You
Yeah,
know,
the other story arc, yeah.
yeah. So it really kicks in because they're face to face, and you know, it ends. Unfortunately, the minute ends in the middle of her line, which I think is a pretty good line. She just says, "Bad whiskey," and then it stops.
Yeah.
We got to find out next minute what the entire line is, but
I don't
um,
imagine it's very good.
no. Oh, you know what? I'll say one more thing for this minute. If this movie was made a couple years earlier, there's no doubt in my mind that Aggie would be played by Sandra Locke because she was in every other movie that Clint Eastwood did at the time.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. They were together for a while too, weren't they?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, and I'm trying to wrap this minute up, but literally, there's this dude. I think he's playing the piano or the keyboard in the back, and he's got a bright, like silver shirt on.
Oh yeah.
He's
Yep. I
got
see.
he's got this silver jacket and like a tie, and he's just no shirt, and he's just grooving to the
Bop it.
music,
Yeah.
yeah, bopping back and forth, diddy bopping, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. See him in the background. Yeah.
They ever tell you that in boot camp? Hey, you're
Yeah.
diddy bopping.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quit,
Stop bouncing.
yeah, quit diddy bopping. uh, I still have trouble with that. I diddy bop everywhere.
Yeah, that's right.
I got a little bounce.
A little bounce, a little spring in your step.
All right, let's wrap it up. Find out what this line is that Aggie is. We got cut off, and we'll leave everybody on a cliffhanger so they come back on Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't wanna miss it. I'm sure
It's a doozy,
it's a captivating line.
right? It ties the whole movie together.
It really does. It's like that rug. You really tied the room together, dude.
Well, that's all I got. So
Alright.
let me just remind everybody to come join us on Facebook at the Marine Corps Movie Minute Quarterdeck, our private Facebook group, and drop us a line. Let us know what you think. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, you can do that too.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah, we appreciate, all the listeners. I don't even wanna call them fans. I don't know what kind of fans we have, but, all the listeners, they're kind of doing all this stuff with us.
Yep. All right, Perry. So what do you want?
I want a beer.